and welcome all of you to this icoflast. Today's conference is about environmental sciences, environmental law and policy, mitigation and techniques, and geospatial technologies. Ladies and gentlemen, before the presentation begins, let me inform how the presentation will be going on. First, the participant will be invited to present the material. And the presentation, time of presentation is 10 minutes. After that, there will be a question and answer or discussion session. So that the time is effective, we will directly enter into a presentation session. Now, allow me to welcome the first speaker, with the theme Decision Support System Determining Types of Food Crop Based on Soil Content Using the SMART Method, Simple Multi-Attribute Rating Technique, and Nicole. The author is R.U. Marlin from Janabadra University, Jamie Edwin Borering from Janabadra University, Sri Rahayu from Janabadra University, and Eri Haryanto from Janabadra University. This paper will be presented by Jamie Edwin Borering. Jamie, please, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Let me introduce. My name is Jamie Edwin Borori. I want to kurang dekat. Oke. 1, 2, 3. Ini aja, Bu. Oke. Oke. I want to describe my presentation in our technique and to the what's our theme and the title, Decision Support System Determining Types of Food Crop Based on Soil Content using the two methods, the one simple multi-attribute rating technique and Nicole. This is why we get to the title, because a nation is very potential for the agriculture, the quite large, ranging from traditional agriculture and modern in large scale. Okay. In the selection of crop based on soil condition, this is one of the way to the increase productivity and harvest. In addition, choosing the land to be planted, several things need to be considered so that the plant to be planted and can grow optimally. Determining the type of plant requires knowledge in this case. Taking into account this problem, take a decision in determining of type of plant food, which is suitable for a plant in the agricultural area by knowing the content of ground, so it will be easy to understand the type of plant food and the good for planting. The research purpose, we use the SMART method, simple multi-attribute rating technique, to calculate the weight of criteria. that are the benchmarks for the suitability of food crop as an alternative to best solution base. This is the alternative. And on soil content as the decision support tool to help farmer through the agricultural service in determining of type the good food crop to grow. And MECOL is used to testing the feasibility level of the decision support system will by applying three aspects of measuring. Number one, namely correctness. Number two, reliability. And number three, usability. The SMART method is a technique to use in decision making. The step one, we enter the number of criteria. And step two, weight normalization. This is equation one. And step three, input criteria, value. The value is alternative. Number three, calculate. I'm sorry, number four, step, calculate the utility value. Number five, calculate final value. And the end result of decision determined. Next. Step one, this is determining criteria. In this study, researcher used 6 criteria. Criteria one, humus. Bahasa kita humus. We symbol criteria Q1 and the other. And 6 microgram, symbol criteria Q6. Determine the weight and value of utility criteria. Determine is the added to weight in the weight table. Number one, humus, the added weight 20. The gosol 10, the other nitrogen 30. The summary total is 100, sorry. Next, step 3, utility value for each criteria from the predetermined parameter, then analyze to determine the utility development value. Value will be given on the scale of 0 to 100, where 0 is the minimum value and the 100 is maximum value. This is explained on my table. Next, result of SMART method. This is get the highest value. Category number one is very good. Score between 81% between 100%. Yeah, etc. Next, determine alternative data. The use to the determine type of suitable for crop with criteria 1, criteria 2, and K6. The crop one padi, kan? Kemudian sampai soybean and sweet potato. The using source, this is from Bantul Agricultural Office. Next, calculate weight normalization. In this process, weight of the each criteria contained in table 6 is the analyzed using the equation. We need calculation, can be the criteria formula This is and the equal formula in number 1. Next, determine utility properties depending on the desired criteria level high and low is important. We need a formula equation into and the result calculation of criteria, that is my figure. Next, the final value using the equation, and step 5, we need formula equation, NTA, the result with my figure. It's the sample, not all crop. This is a sample. Next, the calculation of final value of SMART method can be seen in table 6, table 7. Criteria, and you choosing the crop in the category goods, soybean. But the peanut is very popular in the Bantul. That is number 1 to the score result in my research. Next, this is my testing and second testing for the system, in our building. We need a usability testing. Use the linked scale between 1 and 5 alternative answers. But we still the using system and for 3 aspects, and the carry out from 15 respondents. Next, the result from the calculation usability testing, 71,33%. Choice the correctness, 87,10% for reliability, and 48,27% for usability. Next, conclusion. From the research that has been done, it can be explained below. Application of decision support system. This is application support system. Implementing from SMART method can do calculation against the alternative that type of plant food in the accordance with the criteria that have been set. Based on the result of the system usability test for 14 respondents, it was obtained that the correctness aspect with the value 71,033% was included in the good category. Then indicated the system has been testability system is good and worth to be used. Thank you very much. Wabillahi taufiq walhidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Gini. Is there any question? If there is no question, we will continue to the second presenter. Okay, thank you, Mr. Gini. And next, the article with the theme economic analysis of urban land use in Yogyakarta City with the author Rini Raharti, Burhanuddin Sartina, and Bertoldus Jebarus from Janabadra University will be presented by Bertoldus Jebarus. The time is yours.
Check. Okay, thank you for time that given to me. Good afternoon, everybody. May I introduce myself? My name is Bertoldus Jebarus. I am student of Economic Development in Janabadra University. Today, I want to present about economic analysis of urban land use in Yogyakarta City. The analisis ekonomi terhadap penggunaan lahan perkotaan di kota Yogyakarta. Okay, introduction. Development is a multidimensional process that involves fundamental change in social structure, social behavior, and social institutions. In addition to accelerating economic growth, equalizing income inequality, and eradicating poverty. Therefore, the purpose of development is to improve the community's welfare. That economic development is a essential part of comprehensive national development to enhance people. Pada intinya bahwa di poin ini tujuan dari pembangunan itu adalah untuk meningkatkan kesejahteraan dari masyarakat. Next. Okay. The economic growth of Yogyakarta City has impacted the shift and use of urban land in the city of Yogyakarta. It has affected the phenomenon of urbanization of the population in the city of Yogyakarta. Urbanization is a phenomenon that also occurs in the city of Yogyakarta. The population of the city continues to increase. However, the geographical and administrative area of the town remains the same. Urbanization that occurs will increase the number of residents in the city. On the other hand, the city's capacity can still not necessarily accommodate the population if the trend continues to increase. The increase in population will cause population density also to increase. There we change the value of urban density gradient. The density gradient refers to the change in population density in urban areas from the city center to the periphery. Jadi pertumbuhan ekonomi di kota Yogyakarta ini membawa dampak pergeseran dan perubahan di kota Yogyakarta. It has the effect. Hal ini membawa dampak fenomena urbanisasi penduduk itu di kota Yogyakarta semakin meningkat. Perubahan penggunaan lahan di kota Yogyakarta ini dapat dikaitkan dengan pertumbuhan ekonomi. Jadi adanya urbanisasi ya akan menambah jumlah penduduk. Semakin banyak masyarakat dari luar kota, dari desa akan berpindah ke desa, berpindah ke kota, maka adanya urbanisasi, sehingga adanya urbanisasi ini akan mengalami kepadatan penduduk. Next. Okay, discussion. The effect of economic growth on urban land use. Ya. Tadi pertama ini ya tentang pengaruh pertumbuhan ekonomi terhadap penggunaan lahan perkotaan. The regression analysis results of the economic growth as a positive and significant effect on urban land use in Yogyakarta. This means that if the increase in economic growth is 1%, then the use of urban land in the Yogyakarta will increase by 0.53649 7%. Jadi ini pertama di efek ini ya pengaruh pertumbuhan ekonomi terhadap penggunaan lahan perkotaan. Jadi menurut analisis regresi bahwa pertumbuhan ekonomi itu membawa dampak positif dan signifikan ya terhadap penggunaan lahan di kota Yogyakarta. It means that artinya bahwa ketika pertumbuhan ekonomi naik sebesar 1%, maka penggunaan lahan di kota Yogyakarta ini mengalami peningkatan ya sebesar 0,536497%. Next. Oke, effect of population density on urban land use. Ini terkait dengan pengaruh kepadatan penduduk. The regression analysis results of the population density has a positive and significant effect on urban land use. This means that if the increase in population density is 1%, the urban land use in Yogyakarta will increase by 1.0802447%. The increase in population will cause the population density also to grow. Change the value of the urban density gradient. The density gradient refers to the change in population density in urban areas from the city center to the periphery. Population density will increase along with the increase in migration and urbanization that occurs. Jadi pada intinya bahwa ya menurut analisis regresi ya populasi population density ya kepadatan penduduk di Kota Jakarta yang mengalami dampak positif dan signifikan terhadap penggunaan. Lalu isbidat artinya bahwa ketika populasi kepadatan penduduk naik sebesar 1%, maka penggunaan lahan di Kota Jakarta itu mengalami peningkatan sebesar 1,08249%. Oke, lalu adanya ya seperti apa yang saya sampaikan di awal tadi, adanya urbanisasi ini akan mengalami kepadatan penduduk. Semakin banyak masyarakat yang dari desa ke kota mengalami urbanisasi, maka otomatis di Kota Yogyakarta ini akan mengalami peningkatan sehingga akan berdampak pada density gradient. Density gradient ini merujuk pada kepadatan penduduk di daerah perkotaan, dari pusat kota ke daerah pinggiran. Ya, sehingga masyarakat yang ada di kota ini tinggal di pinggiran karena kepadatan penduduk. Next. Okay, the effect of migration on urban land use. The regression analysis results of the migration has a positive and significant effect on urban land use. This means that if the increase in migration is 1%, then the urban land use in Yogyakarta city will increase by 0.000,434 people. Migration has been by two factors, namely first factor cost and reduction in source of life and the take of the adequate employment opportunities, and for factors such as hope for continuing better education and opportunities for employment, improve the quality of life. Daripada intinya bahwa ya terhadap migrasi ini para pertumbuhan migrasi terhadap penggunaan lahan perkotaan. Menurut analisis regresi, migrasi ini dampak berpengaruh positif, ya ada positif dan signifikan terhadap penggunaan lahan perkotaan. Ini artinya bahwa ketika migrasi ya naik sebesar 1%, maka otomatis penggunaan lahan itu akan mengalami peningkatan sekian persen. Lalu migrasi ini terjadi dua faktor. Faktor yang pertama itu faktor pendorong, ya, faktor pendorong dan faktor penarik. Faktor pendorongnya itu kurangnya ketersediaan lapangan pekerjaan. Lalu faktor penariknya itu adanya kesempatan untuk memperbaiki hidup, ya, quality of life, dan adanya kesempatan untuk menikmati pendidikan. Next. Okay. Conclusion, the analysis results of the economic growth has a positive and significant effect on urban land use in Yogyakarta. This means that if the increase in economic growth is 1%, that the use of urban land in Yogyakarta will increase by 0.536497%. Population density has a negative and significant effect on urban land use. It means that in the increase in population density is 1%, and the urban land use in Yogyakarta city will increase by 1.0802447%. Migration has a positive and significant effect of urban land use. This means that if the increase in migration is 1%, then the urban land use of Yogyakarta city will increase by 0.00434 people. Jadi pada intinya bahwa dari pertumbuhan ekonomi, kepadatan penduduk dan migrasi itu mengalami peningkatan 1%, maka otomatis akan mengalami kenaikan 1%. Oke, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beltoldus, for the informative presentation. Is there any question? Okay, thank you, Mr. Bertoldus. And now It's the time for presentation by Mrs. Endang Sulistianingsih from Janabadra University with the theme Community Participation in Improving Environmental Protection and Effort Management. Mrs., the time is yours.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm sorry. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Endang Sulistianingsih from the Faculty of Law, Universitas Janabadra. Today, I would like to present my presentation about community participation in improving in environmental protection and effort management. The declining level of biodiversity and the destruction of ecosystem function cause several problems and threats to human life. Environmental protection is a term used to describe the various forms of life on the Earth's surface, the interactions between living things and their environment. The interaction will refer to all aspects of life, economy, society, environment, knowledge, ethics, and the relationship of one part to another. Environmental protection and management is an integrated effort to preserve environmental functions, including structuring, utilizing, developing, maintaining, restoring, supervising, and controlling the environment. Yes. Based on law number 32 of 2009 concerning environmental protection and management. Environmental protection and management is a systematic and integrated effort to preserve ecological functions, including planning, utilization, control, maintenance, supervision, and law enforcement. And to realize the goal of sustainable development, one of the ways provided by law number 32 of 2009 in Article 70 is to optimize community participation in environmental protection and management. This article outlines several roles that can be performed by the community, including social supervision, providing suggestions for opinions, suggestion, objection, complaints, and submitting information and all reports. very much needed in preserving the environment. It takes aspects of socialization, counseling, guidance to community in tackling environmental problems. By looking at these conditions, solid and intense collaboration is needed from the government, environmental managers, non-government organizations, and the community in strengthening environmental management protection. Discussion. The next. In the 1945 Constitution of the Republic of Indonesia and its amendment as the constitutional basis, it is obligatory that natural resources be used for the greatest property of the people, as states in Article 33, Paragraph 3 of the 1945 Constitution, that the earth and water and the natural what contained therein is controlled by the state and used for the greatest property of the people. Along with the need for development to improve welfare and overcome many problems, experience shows that development can and has resulted in various negative impacts. The concept of unsustainable and unsustainable development will not only exhibit existing environmental and social problems, but will also trigger new environmental problems, including problems of forest and land damage, coastal and marine damage, water and soil pollution, and air, urban and social environmental problems. Community participation, according to the Environmental Management Law, is the main component in addition to the existence of law enforcement to assess legal goals through law enforcement facilities by enforcing environmental laws. Increasing community participation in environmental protection and preservation can be accomplished both individually and in groups comprised of members of various organizations. Several measures can be made to improve community participation, including one, develop an understanding and appreciation of environmental awareness through formal and non-formal education. And two, invite community groups to participate in environmental development movements, such as religious leaders, starting from the idea that the preservation and use of God-given natural resources is part of religious teachings. Women, based on the observation that women are the majority groups of the total population of Indonesia and are involved daily in the household, residential and social environment. Youth as the generation that inherits the enforcement and natural resources in the future is most concerned with the preservation of natural resources. At the same time, youth involvement in environmental development is also an element of education outside of school to foster love for the homeland and the spirit of patriotism. Journalists and other commentators to be able to become messengers, movers, and motivators, as well as an attitude to life with the values of environmental conservation in society. And then conclusion. Essentially, everyone is a community member with rights, obligations, and tasks in environmental management. The community participation can be expanded by empowering and collaborating, developing capacities and pioneers, developing community responsiveness to carry out social supervision, and developing and sustaining local culture and wisdom in the context of conserving environmental function. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Endang, for the informative presentation. Now we will continue to the next presenter by application of the corporate field purchasing principle in the company for forest and land burning, presented by Mr. Sudiana. The author is Mr. Sudiana and Mrs. Diah Permata Budi Astri. For Mr. Sudiana, the time is yours.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon and greeting to all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, the common respect. I'm Sudiana from the Faculty of Law, Janabadra University, Yogyakarta. Would like to present the result of research entitled Application of the Corporate Field Purchasing Principle in the Company for Forest and Land Burning. Introduction. Business is a business activity carried out by every form of business, both individuals and legal entities or person. Carried out openly, continuously to obtain profit and or profit. The public's form of business in great demand, especially those who run a macro business, is a limited liability company. Limited liability company from now on referred to as companies are legal entity constituting a capital partnership established based on agreement conducting business activities with authorized capital which is rightly divided into shares of fulfills the requirement stipulated in this law and its implemented regulation. The company option the status of a legal entity through a legal process, namely ratification by the government. As a legal entity, the liability of shareholder, director, and commissioner is limited. All actions of the company are the responsibility of the companies. Based on the principle of purchasing the corporate field, the liability of shareholders, directors, and commissioners are unlimited. One of the company's business field that has recently been facing many problems in the community is forest management right with the concept of concession. With the concession, the company can run its business in the forestry sector. However, the business in the forestry sector lately has caused a lot of negative impact due to forest and land fires. According to Greenpeace, let's analysis 3.4 million hectares of land were burned between 250 and 280 in Indonesia. In addition, Greenpeace also note while palm oil group companies involved in forest and land burning in 250 to 280. Air pollution caused by forest fires in central Kalimantan, Palangkaraya, has been at dangerous level to above the threshold for the past 4 years. There is no equipment to protect the respiratory tract. However, the effect can be recovered based on research about 65% of residents exposed to forest and forest fire smoke in 250 were around 60% who experienced destruction or narrowing of the airways. Based on the terrible and detrimental impact on society, legally, the companies involved in Calcutta can be held legally responsibility. A company or corporation is a legal entity, then the company's liability will be based on the principle contained in the company's legal teaching. One of the principles in the company's legal teaching is the principle of piercing the corporate veil, which can relieve the responsibilities of shareholder, director, and commissioner. The purpose of this research is to study and find out how to apply the principle of piercing the corporate veil for the company or corporation. For forest and land fires, both shareholder, director, and commissioners. Research method. The research method is based on normative legal research, whose legal concept is positive law compiled in legislation. The research results are expected that the shareholder, director, and commissioners or the company can be personally responsible for the whole. Research and discussion. The legal responsibility to prevent forest and land burning to preserve the environment can be borne by corporation or companies. Public opinion often consider corporation responsible for damage stemming from illegal activity in the field of environment, protection, financial market, social risk, and so forth. Corporate responsibility for forest fires has been regulated in two regulations, namely Law Number 41 of 1999, Forestry Law Number 50 of 1999, and Law Number 32 of 209 on environmental protection and management. Under Article 49 Law 41, 1999, the holder of the right or permit is responsible for the occurrence of forest fires in his working area. The Article 50 Law 41, 1999 states that any person who is granted a business permit for the use of the area, a business permit for the utilization, business permit for the use environmental service, a business permit for the utilization of wood and non-timber forest products, as well as a permit for the collection of wood and non-timber forest products, is prohibited from engaging in activities that cause forest damage. Regarding administrative responsibility, based on Article 76 of Law Number 32 of 209 and Article 80 Number 1 of Law Number 41 of 1999, it is stated that companies that burn forests can be subject to administrative sanction. The administrative sanction can be in the form of a written warning, government caution, freezing of environmental permits, or even revocation of environmental permits. In the concept of civil liability based on Article 87, paragraph 132 of 209, and Article 80, paragraph 1 of Law 41 of 1999, the company must provide compensation for causing smoke pollution and or environmental damage that cause harm to other people or the environment. And advancement in this responsibility is the accommodation of the principle of absolute responsibility or strict liability in Article 88 of Law number 52 of 209, which states that everyone who poses a serious threat to the environment is responsible for the loss that occur without the need to prove the element of good. The company has complete control over the responsibility in a problem, but the company can also arbitrarily carry out the responsibilities caused by the holder of company control in action. In the rules of civil law, it is determined that a corporation or legal entity is subject of civil law that can conduct buying and selling activities, make agreement or contract with other parties, and sue and be sued in civil relation. Therefore, what the corporation does is the responsibility of the corporation itself and not the shareholder, director, or commissioner. However, in company law, some principle can be used as a basis for holding shareholder, director, and commissioner accountable. One of the principles that become the topic of this discussion in the principle of piercing the corporate veil. Consider the limited liability in courts can be interpreted as a constraint and a rule. One hand, administrative law said honor from personal liability to tort victim unless court piercing the corporate veil. In this sense, limited liability to tort victim is considered a rule. According to company law, piercing the corporate veil is a principle or theory that imposes responsibility on the shareholder of other to legal action carried out by the perpetrator without seeing the fact that the act was carried out by the perpetrator company. According to Kata Marasachit 200, if there is a mixed of property belonging to the shareholder and the company or a company is established, is a means for shareholder to fulfill their personal goal, then the shareholder must be responsible for their asset. Concerning forest and land burning, according to Law 32 of 209 and Law 41 of 1999, the responsibility lies with the corporation or company according to Law number 40 of 207 concerning limited liability companies. The liability of the company can be transferred to the shareholder, the board of director, and on the commissioner. Law number 40, 207 has accommodated responsibility based on the principle of the corporate veil, Article 3, paragraph 1 of Law 40 of 207. The shareholder of the company are not personally responsible for the in judgment made on behalf of the company and are not responsible for the loss of the company upon the sale on. Conclusion. Law number 40 of 207 has accommodated responsibility based on the principle of the corporate will. The shareholders of the company are not personally responsible for the judgment made on behalf of the company and are not responsible for its loss upon the sale on. In the event of a forest and land burning, however, the principle of limited liability for shareholder does not apply if the shareholder is concerned either directly or indirectly in fact might use the company for personal gain. It is hoped that law enforcement do not apply the corporate pilfering principle to corporate action that cause forest and land damage that are very detrimental to the community, but use the principle of absolute responsibility. Shareholder, director, and commissioner must be responsible without seeing any element of negligence. That's all, and thank you for the attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much for the Mr. Sudiana for giving us such informative presentation. Is there any question? If there is no, we will continue to the last presentation presented by Mrs. Isviati Joinani Quentin. The theme or title, Disaster Management Using a Contingency Approach in the Special Region of Yogyakarta. Mrs. Isviati, the time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Isviati Yunani Kunti from icoflast.janabadra, Indonesia. I will to present my research with a title, Disaster Management Using a Contingency Approach in Special Regions of Yogyakarta. Introduction. Indonesia is located in the Ring of Fire. With the Ring of Fire, Indonesia has the highest specific ranking for hydrometeorological and geological results. Yogyakarta is one of the locations of Indonesia that are prone to disaster nature. The high potential for disaster in Yogyakarta clearly requires carefully handling seriously from all components of society and government. The handling so far has focused on the past disaster. However, the concept of disaster emergency management is now complemented by preparation of contingency plans. One of component close disaster is the community participation is carried. The research This study used qualitative research methods, starting with inventorying and harmonizing regulation on the disaster from the main level to the regional level. This research continued with a descriptive study of cases of making contingency plans in each area with the type of disaster in each district and city in the special region of Jakarta, which included the element involved to did what contingency plan implementation and community participation with the formulation of a responsive village. This is the map with the disaster problem in Indonesia. And the red one is a high risk. So Yogyakarta, high risk to disaster. The purple one is high risk in Yogyakarta. Disaster, a series of events that threaten and disrupt people's lives and livelihoods because they would both natural or not natural factors as well as human factors resulting in the human casualties and environmental damage, property loss and physical impacts. Potential disaster in Yogyakarta, according to Yogyakarta Disaster Management Plan document, the first earthquake, second landslide, third tsunami, fourth extreme waves and abrasion, five floods, six eruption to mountain fire, especially Mount Merapi, 7 dry, 8 extreme weather, and 9 forest and land fire, 10 epidemic and disease outbreak, 11 technology failure, and 12 social conflict. The matrix about number of district schools and schools located in Yogyakarta disaster program. We can see Rentals, Coastal 70, Hills, Plan, and etc. Legal foundation about disaster, regional regulation of the province of special region of Yogyakarta, number 8 of 29, concerning disaster management, Article 4. Disaster management aims to provide protection to the community from the threat of disaster. Policy basis, regulation of tenor of the regional of Jakarta, number 18, 1 years 2013, regarding the disaster management plan for the special region in Jakarta. Among others, establishing and empowering regional forums or networks, especially for disaster risk mitigation. Local government disaster management policy. The first, establishment of management constitutional regional disaster. Third, integration of disaster management into the flow, main development and governance. Third, develop and disaster risk system. Fourth, increase the capacity of all sectors and components to be proactive on disaster management. Five, develop a culture of disaster awareness. And 6, improving the quality of human resources institution, disaster management, and optimization of disaster recovery to increase in Yogyakarta. effort and combat disaster have primarily relied on the case, the cause, and effect strategy in the past. Government policies are taken with discretion and disaster management focuses more on the aftermath. As a result, rapid disaster management with cost approach minimizing vulnerability must be considered. It is time to start planning disaster management with a defense as a comprehensive, continuous, and synergic management style that includes emergency management, rehabilitation, reconstruction, development, prevention, mitigation or impact reduce and preparedness. Contingency planning entails the primarily step necessary to formulate plans, devise strategies, and implement process in event of crisis or emergency. And contingencies is a situation or situation that the expand to occur soon, but may not also happen. Contingency plan, process of identification and preparation of plans based of the contingency of unseen circumstance. Contingency plan may not always be active if the foreseeable circumstances do not occur. This is to describe how if disaster happen and this component as the factors is all of them to done with integrated plan must be jointly equally by all participation stakeholders and multi-sectors who are involved and play a role in disaster management, including for the government, related sectors, state companies, the private sector, not governmental organization, international institution, and the community. The creation of disaster resilient village and sub-district demonstrate community participation. We call village tangguh or kelurahan tangguh, desa tangguh. Is a village with the ability to adapt dependently in the face of disaster threats and recover quickly from the negative consequence of disaster in the disaster baseline village or kelurahan must understand its contingency plan with various sort of catastrophes because the disaster strikes. The contingency plan is turned into the operational plan. Periodic collaboration to update this contingency plan document is required to keep it up to date with the development, including regularly updating data on resource availability in its agency. The contingency plan will be deactivated or active yet declared invalid if no disaster occurs. Because the risk of disaster is past. All the contingency plans that have been made Yogyakarta until 2020, none have been active. The readiness and logistic infrastructure public kitchens have been prepared. Training, preparedness, disaster management have been understood by the community, stakeholders, and volunteers, and even stimulation or rehearsals for so tsunami, food landslides, and fire have been carried out regularly. For example, on November 4th, 2020, preparation of been made to active the contingency plan into an operational plan with the worst case scenario because Mount Merapi's status is on standby and level 3. But the disaster not occur. This did not or didn't occur. The contingency plan is deactive. Conclusion, according to the study findings, there are a reciprocity or relationship between contingency planning and regulation planning. As a result, constant management with a contingency approach is critical, particularly and Yogyakarta special region. Yogyakarta disaster management using a contingency methods has not been implemented, and the Region Disaster Management Agency has not attempted to update the contingency plan document. As a result of this research, it is required to update the contingency plan in order for it to be adapted to new development, which includes routine updating data or resources available at each agency. I finished my presentation. Thank you for all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much. Is there any question? Okay, thank you so much for all the presenter for giving us such informative and interesting presentation, and for all participants that follow this conference until this time. Ladies and gentlemen, we finally come to the end of this conference. Before I close the conference, please, to all the participants, to all the presenters, please, we will take a picture together. Please, all the participants, come forward to take a picture together. Thank you. Take a photo. Take a picture. Puji dan Bu Yuli, monggo ke depan. Kak partisipan.